We're happy to be here with you today. My name is Gary Farmer, and I'm, and this is
Kluane, Adamek. Good morning.
We're your hosts for this week and the conference for the next 3 days, and we're happy to be here. A lot of you might know me from television and film over the years. I've been an actor for some 40 years now, and I'm really happy to be here. I'm originally from Six Nations, Ontario, Canada, which is a reservation on the Grand River, and I currently live in New Mexico in the United States, so I'm really happy to be here with you.
Dunjay, Kluane Adamek Uye, Dachlawidi Ayahatu Asaug, Kluane Man Kai Iche, Ganashchish, Mississauga, a new credit. My name is Kluane Adamek, and I'm from Kluane First Nation in the Yukon Territory. I'm from the Dachlawidi clan, and my traditional name is Age, which means daughter of the lake, and that comes from my great-great-great-grandmother, who was from the Tagish Kwan people. Really thankful to be here today, to be assisting Gary with all of this, but also to have the pleasure to see some old and new friends, and really looking forward to spending the next few days with you. As noted, I just wanted to acknowledge the Mississaugas of New Credit and all other nations, nearby nations, for allowing us to be here today, and looking forward to spending the next few days with you. Gashchish.
We want to thank you so much for your interest in philanthropy and of course in Aboriginal people in Canada. It's going to be a great week of education, a few jokes, some reflection, and of course networking, so that we can move on with this ambitious scheme. Yeah, everyone, I'd like to introduce you to Tommy Porter. He's an old dear friend. I remember so many great things about Tom. I've known him so long, and visited the community that he's the spiritual leader of, the Mohawk community of Ganyanjolahalage, which is located in the Mohawk Valley in Fonda, New York, which he's moved down there since 1993. He's Bear Clan of the Mohawk Nation from Akwesasne, the St. Regis Mohawk Reservation, which straddles New York State, Quebec, and the United States in New York. He's married to Alice Jo Porter, who is Choctaw, and they have 6 children. He was the director and educator of the Akwesasne Freedom School back in the 70s and late 60s, and he taught at the Ganawagi Survival School. He offered instruction in the Mohawk language, in philosophy and history at both the school as well as carpentry at the Ganawagi. So without further ado, please, Mr. Tom Porter.
I say first, good morning to everyone. And first, according to our tradition, the way our grandmother and our elders taught us when we were growing up, never to forget our Creator. But I want to share with you, when we say Creator, it's a little bit different from the Western world, because the Creator is so big and so powerful and so universal. And I think it's important to know that when we do a formal opening. Great-grandfather was asked one time to define what is Creator, what is God. And he said, if you have 200 years and about a 300-year party, a group, we will try to find the answer to that. And he said, it'll take 300 years or more, but you must count all the stars that's in the sky at nighttime. You must count every tree that grows in every forest of the world. You must count every water, every creek, every river, every water, every fish, every deer, every human, every bird, every rain. And then at the end of 200 or 300 years, your 300 group of men who have gathered this information will push the summarization button. And what's the sum of all of those lives gathered is what we call God. So God is in you, and God is in me, and God is in the Mother Earth, and God is in the water that we drink every day. And all those things together is the Creator. And I want to share a very short one with you before we do the formal one that's going to be short as well, because this is Toronto Metropolitan. And Grandma, one time when I was a little boy, and I never forgot this, and I think that you probably never will either. I was sleeping in her bed, and she had already gotten up to prepare oatmeal and toast and things. And the kind of toaster we had is you just throw bread on the stove, and it sticks on there. And so how many's from my era when we had that kind of toast? The best that you can ever get, yeah. But anyways, she rubbed my head and my shoulders because she was my grandma. And she said, "Grandson, it's time to wake up." And she said, "Did you acknowledge the Creator yet?" I was 3 years old. And I never have to worry about acknowledging the Creator because I have a grandma to do that. And I have a grandpa to do that. And I have a mother to do that. And an uncle. Because I'm only 3. But she said, "Did you acknowledge the Creator yet?" I knew what she was talking about, but I never did it. And here's what she said to me. She said, as you were laying there in that bed, she said, "Did you know that the rays of the sun and the light of the sun is the fingers and the hands and the arms of our Creator? And as you laid there under that quilt blanket, the Creator came in that window of this very room." And she says, that means He has held you or embraced you from your head right to your feet. Your whole body, the light of the sun, caressed you and embraced you. And He said, not only that, He did it to me this morning. And He went into the barn and He hugged the horses and the cows too, and the chickens. Because that's what a Creator does. The Creator loves every one of His living things, humans, animal, bird. And so here's what she said. And she said, "I'm going to teach you because you're old enough to learn now. You're growing." And here's what she said. "Nyawe dagya dison ne wat kono waladon," and that's it. Let me translate it to you, what it means. Nyawe means miigwech. And in French, merci. So you know, it's universal. He said, Nyawa means thank you. The Gya Dison means you who made me. Wat Kono Waladon, powerful Iroquois word that's shared by all the nations of the Iroquois. And Wat Kono Walado is a 3 concepts of the English grammar in order to justifiably explain it. What Walado means to shake hands or to say hello to somebody. And then it means also to say, I love you. I send you my love. And it also means thank you. Hello, thank you, and I love you to the Creator, to the one who made us. And then you can put your pants on. Now you can get out of that bed, and now you can live all day, and the Creator will be in front of you, clearing the road of your life. How simple and how wonderful. And so with that, I wanted to share it with you. So every morning, I tell my kids and my grandchildren to do that short one. And they said, okay, Grandpa. And with his little diaper on, he was, you know, just learn how to walk. But he knows how to say that 3 words, that little prayer. And so our Creator is so big, Grandma said, that there's not enough leather to make a moccasin big enough for his feet. Creator is so mighty and gigantic in the universe, there's nobody can have enough material to make a shirt that'll fit him. What a wonderful image, because it's all the universe's greatest. And so the Creator said, when you are together, And look at the people gathered here. The organizers of this conference or assembly had days and weeks ago sent word out, north, south, east, and west, saying, can you come to Toronto? We're going to have a meeting. It's going to call all my relations. And then when the day came, everybody cleared their calendars, made the arrangements for their journeys. And Toronto is quite a journey just from the outskirts of the city to get in the middle. Dangerous. But nobody's got a crutch or a wheelchair. Everybody made it all right because the Creator opened the road that we traveled to come here. And so what will we do? We will send our thank you and our love to our Creator for opening a safe road so we can get here in good shape and in good health. So Creator, we say thank you with love because we are your children and our mind is agreed. And then Uncle said, when you assemble together, and I always loved this the most because he was almost 100 years old. And he said, when you're assembled, look around, everybody, scan the place. And he said, you'll notice that the women that are there are the most prettiest woman in the whole world. Every one of them, from the eldest one to the middle age to the very youngest that is there. They're the best, prettiest one. And then he said, my uncle, look around again. And you'll look and scan the place. And you'll see the men folks, the elder men, the middle-aged men, and the young guys, all the most handsome debonair there is in the world. So when you put all those women and men together, you got the most handsomest looking people in the whole world sitting right here. And so what will we do? We will send our thank you, our greetings, and our love to one another because we will share each other's day today and tomorrow and next day. What a privilege and what an honor it is to be together. And so we say thank you with love to one another, and our mind is agreed. To our Mother, the Earth, who was made by the Creator, and she's the mother of the deers and the moose and the people, the mother of everything that lives. And my grandma, she said, sometimes we as humans, mostly human, sometimes are somewhat disrespectful to our mother, the earth. But the Creator, when he chose the earth to be our mother at the beginning of time, chose a real good woman. Because even if we become disrespectful now and then, our mother, the earth, never became angry with us or threw us away or abandoned us, no matter how disobedient we became or disrespectful. That's the kind of mother to have. And every day, our mother, the earth, give us the food we eat at the breakfast, at the noon, at the supper. And even in between snack, it all came from her. And she never reneged. What a loving mother we have. What a fact it is, our mother. And so you and I are her children. We gathered here today. And so we gather our mind as one. And we send our thank you, our greetings, and our love to our most strong-headed, loving Mother Earth. Thank you for all the food you have given us and our children. Mother Earth, your children says thank you with love today, and our mind is agreed. To the waters of the rivers and the oceans and the lakes that quench our thirst every day, we say thank you with love too to them, and our mind is agreed. To the four winds that bring the gentle breezes, and when there's a stagnation in the atmosphere, the Grandpa Thunder will come with a big wind and take the stagnation away. And the Polish and the Irish and the Italian and the Mohawks and the Ojibwe, and they say after a stormy, rainy day weather with lightning on the sky, oh, it smells so sweet, the air, so fresh and so clean, because it is a fact. And so to the four wind, our Grandpa Thunders, we say thank you for doing your job. Thank you for renewing every river and every stream and water in our gardens this past summer. Grandpa Thunder and Four Winds, we say thank you with love, and our mind is agreed. To the old son of our brother's son who shines the light that makes the corn grow, makes the watermelon get big and sweet and juicy, and always he is there every day to give us life and energy. If ever he should go out, then we will cry the big cry, and the big sleep will be had. But the old brother's son never let us down. He's shining again today. And then he has a partner, his grandma, call her Grandma Moon, who shines at night. And she controls all the women every 30 days. And she tells the women, it's ready now. You must open the door for a little baby human being to be born. And she controls the women, the mothers of the nations of the world. That's how you and I got here. That's how our children were born. Oh, what a beautiful job Grandma does for our children who were born. And so to Grandma Moon and old brother's son, we send it thank you, greetings, and love today, big one, for all the work they do day and night. We say thank you to them today. Our mind is agreed. To the stars, my old grandma, she says when she was living, Grandma Moon likes to travel at night time. She likes to dress up and doll up the finest of clothes when she travels at night. And as she travels, she puts a diamond ring on every finger, every ears and necklace, ankles, wrists, put diamond jewelry on. You know what she's talking about? The stars are the jewelry, the diamonds that Grandma Moon dresses up with every night to beautify her journey. What a beautiful image that is. That comes from ancient of our people. And so, to the beautiful stars that nobody can equal in the artistry, painting or drawing, or to capture that image, because the Creator did the image of all, the beauty of the stars at night. And we send to them thank you, greetings, and love, and our mind is agreed. Then, of course, at the end of all that, our Creator chose 4 sacred beings for our inadequacies, to protect and to guide us and to guard us in our life, in times of our intellect, in times of our nonsensibilities. Those 4 sacred beings are the one that brought us our great law. They brought us our cleanse system. They brought us our sacred rattles. They brought us our kivas, our longhouses, our teepees, where we have religious doings. So we would never forget what the Creator wants us to do and how to behave on this sacred place we call Mother Earth. And so it is, our Creator did a perfect job. He didn't build no great big institution building. He didn't build no coliseum to house all our spirituality or philosophy. He just made a man and a woman, and he put them side by side, and he said, love each other, and from your love will be born replicas of you. And every day I want to hear this family called the human come out of their mouth, the simple little word to me. And he says, I want to hear you say thank you every day. And that's all I ask in return for the greatest miracle, which is our life. And so to our Creator and to the 4 sacred beings, we say thank you with love today, and our mind is agreed. And then we ask one favor, that as we are assembled here in these next days, that we will use kindness and soft words and compassion as we think about our life here, as we think about our families and the future generations. Let us do things that will benefit them to the 10th degree or the 100th degree. For as a father and mother, an uncle and an aunt, a grandma and a grandpa, that is our duty, is to secure safety and security for our young. And so with that, we ask that favor of the spiritual world our great Creator and the four beings to give us that power to be able to do that. And with that, I have opened this gathering up. Thank you very much.
Ganesh Chish, thank you to Elder Tom Porter so much for that introduction. What an amazing way to start our day. So just wanted to say thank you again. I'd like to take the opportunity now to introduce Christine Sear, who is the conference chair. Christine is a traditional Cree Métis woman from Winnipeg, currently working at the University of Manitoba. Christine is very active in the community and volunteers her time with several boards and committees, including sitting as the chair of the United Way Winnipeg's Aboriginal Relations Council, member of the United Way's Board of Trustees, and Christine recently received the Future Leaders of Manitoba Award for Community Service, as well as a Service Award from the University of Manitoba for her outstanding work in the field of Aboriginal education, as well as her commitment to the community. So my pleasure, to introduce Christine. So we'll just give you a well-deserved round of applause.
Bonjour, Tanse. Good morning, welcome. You made it here. I would like to take a moment as well to say thank you to Tom for reminding us that Creator is here. He's here with us. And that it's because of Creator opening that door for all of us, opening that way, that road, so that we could all come here safely and we could all be here today. We journeyed well, so miigwech. I have to be honest with you. I do public speaking for a living, but today I was a little bit nervous because I knew the caliber of people that were going to be in the room, so I was feeling a little bit nervous, so much so, in fact, that I called home and talked to one of my mentors and said, I'm feeling really nervous. I've got this small little presentation tomorrow, but I have to get up in front of this big crowd of people. And they said to me, well, just use the age-old trick of picturing everybody naked. So I came into the room this morning and I took a look around and decided that I'm just going to picture some of you naked. I'm just teasing, you're all beautiful. On a more serious note, I've been involved in philanthropy for my entire life. On the receiving end, mostly. I was born into an extremely poor family, the oldest of 7 children, and I knew what it was to have nothing. Nothing, that is, but hope. I recognized at a very early age that there were so many people who did kind and generous things to help my family. They never wanted anything in return. They just wanted to help. As a young girl, I didn't understand this, but I came to know what it was to have faith in people, and that really allowed me to have hope for a better life. So now I'm old, well, relatively speaking. I mean, I'm old, but I'm not as old as Gary or anything. But now I'm older, and I get to look at philanthropy from the other side. I get to share what I have, and I get to participate in making a creative difference in the world around me. And I can tell you that hope on this side is just as beautiful. I hope that you will take some time in the next few days to reflect on your own personal reasons for doing the good work that you are all doing, and that you'll take an opportunity to share those reflections with your old friends and your new friends over the next few days. This is the 3rd All My Relations gathering. It's so very exciting. The Circle's first All My Relations gathering took place in 2008 in Winnipeg. This gathering marked the first time that philanthropic foundations assembled together with the goal of creating a better understanding of Aboriginal peoples, community, and issues in Canada. This event was the start of a journey towards greater understanding and improved effectiveness in Aboriginal-focused philanthropy. And it was a starting point for the continued work and collaboration around Aboriginal people's ideas and initiatives. The Circle's second All My Relations gathering happened in 2009 at Blackfoot Crossing in the traditional lands of the Siksika Nation. And that gathering brought together focused and engaged donors, First Nations community leaders, and international speakers to discuss the challenges facing Aboriginal communities and to build the future of the Circle, what is now the Circle. The gathering themes of land, youth, and philanthropy examine stories of land-based struggles, the Aboriginal youth experience, and the role of philanthropy in Canada. Participants shared their thoughts on the Circle's next steps and how thematic philanthropy can be used to enhance the lives of Aboriginal communities in Canada. So here we are at the third All My Relations gathering, and our theme of reviving reciprocity challenges us to take the conversation and the activity to the next level. We honor the Indigenous teachings of reciprocity as a balanced system of both giving wholeheartedly and accepting the generosity of others. This is a platform for generating and strengthening that mutual respect among all of those in the Aboriginal philanthropic sector. Warren Buffett said, "There are an unlimited number of good things to be done in the world." With the caliber of presenters and delegates here in the room, I have no doubt that we will be doing those good things and finding creative ways to do them in a bigger, better, and even more sustainable way. I can also promise you that we are going to have some fun. So speaking of fun, I hope that you'll all be joining us tomorrow for the gala evening, the gala reception, for an evening of networking, live entertainment, a fabulous silent auction, and even a live auction. I think we have found our auctioneer in Gary. I think he was practicing last night and he sounds awesome. I know that there are still a few tickets left, and you can only get those at the reception desk today or tomorrow, so please do that if you would like to bring a guest. Now, in the spirit of gratitude, I have some people to thank, and I hope that you will help me do this in a very boisterous, Monday morning kind of way. First, to our sponsors. This gathering would not have happened without the generosity of our 14 sponsors. We will individually thank them throughout the conference, but I just wanted to start today with a general, very big thank you to our sponsors. So can we please give them a round of applause? We would like to give a special nod to Tim Hortons, who have gone beyond their sponsorship commitment by providing coffee packages in your conference bag for all of us to take home, baked treats each day, and some wonderful prizes that our MCs will be giving out each day. I suspect you need to be on your very best behavior so that you can get some of those good prizes. The Renaissance Hotel has also been very generous with us and has helped us reduce costs and secure a high level of service for our participants. They have, in an unprecedented move, allowed us to bring Tim Hortons treats into the conference, and hotels never do this, so this is kind of a big deal that they've allowed this, and so we really appreciate that. In particular, we want to acknowledge Eileen Noftal, who is the event manager, and also Chef Mark Ezrin. So if we could give them a round of applause. I'd like to acknowledge the Association of Fundraising Professionals for their partnership with the Circle. They are in the business of effective and ethical fundraising, and they have created a top-notch agenda for Wednesday that will undoubtedly give us a platform for action. One of our board and conference committee members, Harry Wilmot, has donated a beautiful and original framed painting depicting reciprocity that will be auctioned off at the gala reception tomorrow evening. Harry's medium is batik, and he paints with hot wax and dye on the cloth. The effect is stunning, as is the story behind the painting, which you will also hear tomorrow evening. To celebrate your journey here to the gathering, each of you has received a print of that painting in your conference bag. And they're beautiful. I hope you will enjoy. Thank you to Harry and the Circle for this beautiful gift. For the last 13 months, incredibly, the Conference Advisory Committee has been working hard to plan an event that would be worthy of the theme of reviving reciprocity. I think I can confidently say that our goal has been achieved. Even though we're just at the very beginning of the conference, so much has gone into getting us to where we are, and I am feeling very proud and humbled by the work that has happened. What an honor it has been for me to work with this astounding group of connected and committed people, leaders. I'm going to ask each of you to stand and remain standing when I say your name. Victoria Grant, Stephen Couchman, I'll say them all and then we'll give them a really awesome thank you. Stephen Couchman, Sarah Lyons, Bruce Miller, James Stotch, Harry Wilmot, Elisa Levi, Alana Pereira, is Alana in the room? Erica Finestone, Wanda Bracupe Peters, Ken O'Coin, Jonathan Knapp, and David Paul Acne Penescum, who's not here with us today. So if we could give them an awesome thank you, I would appreciate that. Thank you for your vision, your wisdom, and your amazing energy throughout this process. They are just wonderful, so thank you again so much. And finally, I want to acknowledge Tuesday Johnson McDonald. Is she here in the room? Is Tuesday around? I would like to acknowledge Tuesday. Tuesday Johnson McDonald from TAP Resources, Conference Planner Extraordinaire. I am truly in awe of this organized, thorough, patient, business-savvy, and creative woman. She has moved mountains to make this event happen, sparing no detail, right down to the wonderful, thoughtful washroom amenities, hot breakfast to get our day started, and the personally donated coffee mugs that are in your conference bags. Tuesday, you are wonderful, and thank you for your hard work. Please join me in thanking Tuesday. Saying thank you, big thank you, Chimikwich, is my favorite part. It's my favorite part of any presentation. Thank you again to everybody who is here today, who has made a contribution in some way to getting us here where we are. Dr. Martin Brokenleg, he's the co-founder of the Circle of Courage, and he's an internationally renowned scholar and speaker from the Lakota Nation. I've had the privilege of hearing him talk about reciprocity in the traditional Lakota way. He tells the story of a one-year memorial that he and his 3 siblings planned for their elderly parents, their beloved parents, who in a beautiful story of true love died within a very short time frame of each other when they were in their 80s. In preparation for the memorial, all 4 siblings, who were accomplished professionals and had very comfortable lives, spent a whole year accumulating items for this giveaway ceremony that would be part of the traditional memorial. When it came time for the ceremony, the truckloads, several truckloads of gifts were distributed to over 1,000 people who came from near and far places until every single person had received something and all the gifts were gone. Incredibly, Martin and each of his siblings spent all the money they had and used all the credit that they had to host that giveaway ceremony. Those scores of people had come there to honor the lives of their elderly parents. The Lakota teaching of reciprocity says that true giving that comes from deep inside your heart, has to cost you dearly. It has to hurt in some way so that it really means something. I think about that story often, and I regularly question myself, am I truly giving all that I can in terms of money, in terms of time, in terms of creative energy? And am I doing it with all of the hope and good intention that I learned as a young child? One of my most favorite quotes that I find a way to work into every single presentation that I do comes from Lila Watson, who's an Australian Aboriginal activist. She said, "If you have come here to help me, you're wasting your time. But if you've come here because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let's work together." True reciprocity is in the spirit of giving and receiving. In Ojibwe, we say, "Akina nadenawe maganak miigwech," and that means literally, all of my relations, thank you. Thank you for being here today, and I look forward to meeting so many of you and spending time with you over the next few days. Thank you.
Thanks again, Christine, and also for sharing that story with us this morning. Looking forward to also hearing all of the other stories in terms of the theme Reviving Reciprocity this week and connecting with one another. Just like to acknowledge all the young people that are here. I think that being very important, and especially a colleague of mine from Northwest Territories who's traveled here today. Just wanted to acknowledge him, so nice to see you, Eugene. And just wanted to take the opportunity now to kind of move into our formal speakers for this morning. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce Roberta Jamieson. Roberta is the president and CEO of Indspire, and under Roberta's leadership, 16,000 First Nation, Inuit, and Métis students have received bursaries and scholarships, which is truly amazing. Roberta is a nationally recognized leader that has accomplished a number of firsts in her career, including the first First Nations woman to earn a law degree, the first non-parliamentarian appointed as an ex officio member of the House of Commons Committee, the first woman ombudsman of Ontario, the first woman elected chief of the Six Nations of the Grand River Territory, and has also been recognized with numerous awards, including the Order of Canada, as well as 23 honorary doctorates from universities across Canada. So Roberta, if you'll please join us at the podium. Thank you.
Sego, Scano, Ani, Bouchon, bonjour, good morning. Good morning. Best greetings to each of you. Great to see my friend Gary have to come all the way here to Toronto Metropolitan to see you. Well, what a great gathering, and we have gathered today to talk about Indigenous reciprocity. And our first and most principal reciprocal relationship is, of course, with our Mother, the Earth. We recognize her by our constant thankfulness to her for all her gifts which sustain our lives. It is Indigenous reciprocity which calls upon us to always be conscious of the earth on which we walk. And when we're away from our homes, conscious that we're in the territories of other peoples. Today, we're meeting on the lands and near waters which since ancient times have been known as a meeting place, a place where Indigenous peoples gathered to renew their reciprocal relationships. It's a place which was the home of ancestors whose presence we can often feel since they are still a part of our lives. And so I begin by acknowledging them and thanking them, Nyawagoa, thanking those living and those who've gone before for the honor and privilege of meeting on their land. I begin also with congratulations to the Circle on Philanthropy and Aboriginal Peoples in Canada for your work in the promotion of giving, sharing, empowering, and supporting efforts to build a strong and healthy future for Canada, for all of our people. Today, the sponsors of this great event have brought us together to consider how the concept of Indigenous reciprocity can be related to the concept of Western philanthropy. We are participants today, then, in their courageous and innovative spirit in taking on this cross-cultural challenge and all the great sensitivities and adaptations that this requires, assuming, of course, that it is even possible. Well, reciprocity. I want to make sure that today we're talking about Indigenous reciprocity. You know, other people use the word differently. Diplomats, for example, use it in agreements. You let my airplanes land in your airports, and I'll let your airplanes land in my airports. You give me this, and I'll give you that. Agreed? The term has a much richer, more complex meaning, however, when we refer to Indigenous reciprocity. Indigenous reciprocity is not just some isolated concept. It is an integral part of the nearly universal Indigenous worldview. The word is not often used in our daily lives, but it is deeply embedded in most Indigenous cultures, where reciprocity remains strong in many respects. And yes, we must acknowledge that in other respects, the serious erosion of our worldview has consequently caused damage to our systems of reciprocity. But we continue to have strong philosophical continuity and devotion. Indigenous reciprocity is much more complex than a two-way exchange of favors. There are reciprocities of reciprocities, involvement of intricate social systems, usually accompanied by protocols, etiquettes, triggering a series of events which trigger other series of events. Indigenous reciprocity almost always arises from a relationship involving mutual respect, humbleness, joy, and appreciation. Indigenous reciprocity may entail exchanges among humans, spirits, animals, birds, entire families, and nations. The deeply meaningful Thanksgiving address shared with us by Tom Porter this morning is our dialogue with the whole creation. We recognized reciprocity we receive and provided reciprocal thanksgiving in return to each and everything which sustains our lives and to which we are all related. That's why we say, all my relations, which is the theme of this conference. Sometimes reciprocity is symbolic. The offering of tobacco, ties in a Sundance, for example, or a hunter asking permission from an animal before a kill, or a healer placing tobacco on the earth before picking a plant. These are simple expressions of reciprocity. Indigenous reciprocity is a dynamic, constant, requiring ongoing negotiations arising from a respectful relationship of mutual trust and the reassurance of mutual obligations. Giving and receiving with no purpose other than the bonding that comes from reciprocity. As the Cherokee philosopher Rebecca Adamson put it, I have the honor of giving, the honor of receiving. I honor you by giving. You honor me by receiving, end quote. You see all this built into the treaty relationship, which is the very foundation of Canada's existence. History tells us that it was Indigenous people who insisted on the treaty relationship for the sharing of lands, of living together in peaceful coexistence and mutual support. I say reciprocity is a deeply rooted concept among Indigenous people internationally because we all learn about reciprocity from the way nature works. Indigenous people have learned from the same teacher, the same classroom, the natural world. The reciprocity of sharing the gifts of forests and sky, the mountains and the seas, all giving, not for altruism, not for benevolence, but giving to keep the cycles of life moving and strengthening. You know, in Bolivia, fundamentally an indigenous nation, the Quechua term for reciprocity is Aini. Commonly there, one campesino works in another campesino's field as a sense of personal obligation, as a commitment to a shared moral order with its etiquettes, protocols, and ceremonies. This way of life is endangered now by rapid movement of traditional farming into the global economy. Big companies with big tractors eliminate dependence upon neighbors, and in fact, neighbors become redundant. The successful individual is praised as an entrepreneur, even if the impact on the community is negative. Bolivia's president, Evo Morales, the country's first indigenous president, has made reciprocity, solidarity, and community the basis for a shared vision of a new economic system intended to result in a better future for the Bolivian people. You know, in fact, Article 2 of the Bolivian Constitution says, Bolivia is founded in the principles of unity, solidarity, and reciprocity. Well, for Indigenous peoples in settler countries, including Canada, this process of globalization is compounded by the process of colonization, which we often characterize in short form by the phrase, the Indian Act. It is both metaphor and reality. The colonization relationship is destructive to both Indigenous peoples and to the colonizing society. This is the larger context in which we live and operate and interact today. So, putting ourselves in that context, essentially today, we're talking about the decolonization of philanthropy in its relationships with Indigenous peoples. It is my hope that we will be successful in meeting this challenge and more, that our success will be a proud example that will encourage others in their own fields to develop reciprocity as a tool in decolonizing the terribly damaging, negative relationship which has prevailed since 1867. Well, the potential of reciprocity can be found by two parties working jointly towards a shared goal. In those terms, philanthropy's move to reciprocity will mean two cultures coming together, maturely moving beyond assessing blame, and instead concentrating on the creation of solutions. Unfortunately, modern society too often limits reciprocity. It imposes impersonal, uncaring structures, laws, and conditions that prevent reciprocity from flourishing and developing its full potential. In our case, reciprocity was legally prohibited under threat of incarceration. The potlatch, that Pacific Coast ceremony where families worked and saved for years for a ceremony in which they gave away everything they owned, illegal. The giveaways, done in a similar spirit, illegal. being able to gather for feasts of sharing, illegal. Jail sentences for observance of these ceremonial events at rites of birth, passage to adulthood, marriage, and death. That is a matter of history. At the risk of generalization, I want to compare the indigenous perspective with what I'll call the modern perspective to see where each of us stands and how this might affect the enterprise of reciprocal philanthropy. The indigenous view is of nature as the sustainer of life, on which we are totally dependent. The modern view is that we have the right to reshape nature to serve us. We are nature's controller, manager, boss. The indigenous view is that land is our mother, the environment of beauty, mystery, giving, sharing. And the modern view is land is a resource to be maximized, used for the exclusive benefit of society. The indigenous view is one of reciprocity, interrelationship and sharing as the norm. The modern view is accumulation, unabashed advances of one's own interest. The indigenous view sees survival as coming from understanding our place in nature. The modern view is that our interests justify the displacement or exploitation of others. The indigenous view of people and place is permanence, community, a sense of an intergenerational home. The modern view is of non-attachment, individualism over attachment to community, a readiness to go west, young man, an absence of personal responsibility to a place. The indigenous view of developing our unique spirit and accepting the rights of others to do the same. The modern view of obedience, conformity, and authority. The indigenous view of reciprocity, share, give away, responsibility for future generations. The modern view of accumulation, protection of resources from being used by others. Some would say this is collective rights versus individual rights, sustainability versus growth and insatiable appetite. Well, our experience as Indigenous people, the high value we place as peoples on reciprocal harmony, our experience despite everything we have endured, or belief that we are survivors because we follow a way that is sustainable may be seen in this context. We also hear increasingly the concern being expressed that the way of that modern society is placing the future of the planet, the future of human existence in question. The question we ask of philanthropy is whether it can develop decolonized reciprocal relationships with Indigenous peoples, not to help them, not because they are poor and needy, but rather to strengthen our ability to make our full contribution to society and to the future of everyone's children. If that's to happen, we have to work together to change the rules of engagement. Modern society has hindered the development of that kind of positive relationship with all these rules we've established. Let me step back and look at a different field to better understand what I mean. Take researchers, for example. Researchers encounter such rules in that a reciprocal relationship may be seen as kind of unprofessional, causing loss of something called objectivity, which is a valued characteristic of Western research. if we were to involve Indigenous reciprocity in research, it would mean creating a relationships not only throughout the entirety of the research from its very conception, but also continuing after the research is over. We would want to remember that Indigenous values generally cause us to distrust anyone who refuses to share, and as well to distrust a person who refuses to accept offerings of sharing, however humble, from others. Reciprocity is intended to maintain balance, you see, to maintain equilibrium in a relationship. With reciprocity, we feel good about giving, and we feel good about being offered gifts. We feel nourished by the transaction, both as givers and receivers. And when reciprocity is not practiced, things can easily go awry. Givers feel unappreciated and resentful. Receivers feel their dignity has been diminished, guilty about not being able to give back. The loss of balance is felt in our hearts. Now think what all this means if applied to philanthropy. What you're gathered here to talk about for the next couple of days. If we are to move philanthropy into reciprocity, it means the building and nourishing of long-term relationships, which are developed for the sake of the relationship itself, before there's any thought of philanthropy. It means the development of relationships which are intended to endure, even if it turns out that no money's provided. This means the relationships formed are intended to continue even after the giving is over. Means relationships which will cherish opportunities for giving and giving back many times. You see, Indigenous reciprocity requires development of an interconnectedness. It implies us all seeing ourselves as part of the same whole. There's no room in that thinking for us and them. Everyone is us, members of the same family, children of the same earth, part of the same creation. Philanthropists who are still of the old school will need to carefully contemplate how all this contrasts with modern values, the personal transformations which are required, the impact on policies and procedures, and whether a reciprocal relationship can ever arise from an application for a grant. Again, quoting Rebecca Adamson, quote, "The traditional philanthropic paradigm is a transaction. One gives, the other receives. This is alien to most Indigenous communities, whose giving instead stresses reciprocity. If we want to change outcomes in Indigenous communities, the first step for donors is self-reflection," end quote. To understand that cash cannot buy relationships, nor can it be a substitute for human involvement, to see that transparency, trust, and compliance regarding natural components of good relationships. They all are natural components of good relationships. Well, these issues require us all to view and think about our own perspective on our future, our very survival, on questions of economic sustainability, the role of material goods and property in our lives. Reciprocity raises issues of our own social values, questions of power and authority, questions of our goals, our hopes for the future of our people. Reciprocity is based on relationship, and reciprocity builds relationships. It builds networks of trust. It builds friendships. Fortunately, and I'm thrilled and delighted to say, your attendance at this conference is proof positive that there is a trend in philanthropy to change the way we relate to each other, to develop meaningful relationships first and foremost, right from the beginning, rather than as a result of giving. Indspire, the charitable foundation of which I am privileged to be CEO and president, is all about reciprocity. You've heard we give away millions of dollars annually to Indigenous students. But I think I can speak for both ourselves and the students when I say that we never thought of this as philanthropy. Rather, it is pure reciprocity. We assist Indigenous students to realize their immense potential to achieve for their own well-being and that of their families, communities, their nations, Canada, and the world. Indspire works hard to get students through high school, through our new institute, to get them into colleges, universities, training, and helping them to remain there until they succeed. Indspire is also involved in the transformation of Indigenous education into a culturally appropriate, community-driven engine using innovative best practices in the classroom to get there. This is the only way we will ever convert our huge potential to be a part of the Canada of the future into the dynamic results of which we are capable. Every student who gains from education and training improves the likelihood of success for other initiatives. Indspire is increasing the core of these change agents every day. Over the years, more than 16,000 you've heard, involving some $54 million in bursaries. Last year, more than 140 doctors, 230 nurses, 100 lawyers, and so on, who know they are receiving support not because they're poor, but because they are worthy and meritorious, because they are valued. All Indigenous students implicitly understand the reciprocity also that is involved here. We hear it over and over. They want to give back, to use their potential to improve the well-being not only of human life, but the well-being of our mother, the earth. If our current generation of Indigenous youth is supported so they can become achievers, they will change their circumstances, their families, their communities. Canada will be richer for it, and the world. I am so privileged and proud to be part of this reciprocity engine, one that invites others to support our students so students can give their own energies and commitment so they can better give their talents to their people and all of us. And every year we have experienced an increase in private sector support because I believe we are correctly seen as an opportunity to be meaningful partners in an accountable initiative. Created proudly by Indigenous people, led by Indigenous people, and for Indigenous people, and working with many leading social innovators, such as McConnell and Suncor, and many others who are in this room. So here we are, all of us together at this dynamic All My Relations Conference. 2013 slipping day by day through our fingers. We're the generation which must bring reciprocity back into our working relationships. This will mean we must open our minds and our hearts to unconventional approaches at times, taking risks in the application of first principles. But reciprocity does involve courage, engaging, conviction, collaboration, and confidence. I close my remarks with you today with another example of reciprocity, deeply embedded in our cultures. It's a teaching about transgenerational reciprocity, an expression of commitment to future generations whose faces we will never see, recognition of what we have received from past generations, the reciprocal recognition of our debt to future generations. As is true of many Indigenous peoples, my own people, the Mohawks of the Six Nations of the Grand River Territory, are instructed that in living our lives and making decisions for our future and for the future, we must focus our attention not on ourselves, not on our children, not even on our grandchildren, but on that seventh generation, those yet to be born, children whose faces are still coming towards us. The seventh generation are our great-grandchildren's great-grandchildren. The seventh generation is not a figurative abstraction or a romantic notion. It consists of real human beings, not yet born, the people who will call us their ancestors, and they have every right to expect that we will realize the opportunity to put our minds together to see what future we can create for all our children. The responsibility to live a life focused on the seventh generation has been a powerful force in my own life, onerous and powerful. I commend it to you for your consideration. This focus has taught me that I have not only the opportunity, but the responsibility to create change. It's also taught me that I don't live alone in this world. We walk with our past and our present and our common future. It's taught me to seek a longer view whenever I feel the push of impatience, and I do, or the immobilization of despair. But if we think of the seventh generation, we'll be pushed to go beyond the mark, to go in new directions, to find opportunities that don't appear when we're thinking of the short term. The seventh generation is with us in spirit here today. They are our future, cheering us on. And I am certain they will look back at each of us. We are their ancestors, and I hope they will find us worthy of their gratitude for our efforts today and every day to create a better future for them. That will be their appointment with reciprocity. This we must do in our lifetime, in our generation, for reciprocity and for all of us. Nyawagoa, thank you for listening to my words, and have a fantastic conference.